Buenos dias, bonjour, o genki desu ka, ni hao ma, guten tag, and welcome, holy ones. I had a comment on a post that I had made. Admittedly, I've been making posts to kind of stir the pot, to inject noise within the field, the morphogenetic field, the mind of God, the quantum 0 point field, inject a little bit of noise precisely to engender this type of interaction. When your consciousness rests in the 0 point, at the fulcrum, the middle point, the balanced point of polarity, reality flows. And being within your God mind, your creative aspect, you are able to create spontaneously. And your shadow, your quote unquote, your negative aspect, is part of creation. There are those who have separated darkness and light, ignorance and knowledge, is how I understand that. Willful ignorance and the capitalization of willful, the capitalization upon the promulgation of ignorance, which is the hallmark of the Black Brotherhood, the sons of Belial, the sons of darkness, the black magicians of this rampant materialistic age. The promulgation of ignorance, the low vibration, low thought forms of ignorance, sorrow. And that is what the vast majority of people are caught up within. The hell of materiality, duality, their consciousness trapped in a never ending loosh cycle of low vibrations. And I wanted to address an example of that. And yes, I've been making some posts to stir, could be considered dark humor, could be considered offensive, but hey, that is the struggle, that is the life that we live within. But when you understand your core values and you operate from the universal laws of polarity, you are able to maintain the fulcrum of peace, the 0 point fulcrum of peace, and engage in negativity, engage in darkness, not being consumed by it. There are those who worship darkness, solely darkness, and that is because of their level of consciousness, or where they have allowed their energies, or their energies have resonated or settled, stagnated rather. Their energies have not gone beyond the solar plexus. And if they have gone beyond the solar plexus and reached the indigo ray, lit the crown of creation, and bypassed the heart, then they are black magicians. They are the sons of Belial. They are the service to self polarity. It's not evil, it's not bad, it's just one avenue of source consciousness experiencing itself, and part of the symphonic reality, the orchestral reality of the vast manifold of frequencies and vibrations that is our multiverse. And so part of that symphonic display was by user Sinos Nebuchad. And they make some statements, powerful statements, that I believe from one level, if you understand that the spirit has been imprisoned within these genetic vehicles, and if that's all the spirit ever knows, then you will kind of come to this type of thinking, this type of energy. I will only ever be able to do this to my own children. They will never suffer the delusion of feeling lucky to be alive. That, in my estimation, is black magic, is perpetual sorrow. And a lot of people have been ensorcelled. They have been caught up in this occult operation that has been taking place ever since 2001, September 11th of 2001, when a vast occult operation was set into motion. And I'm rambling a little bit, but essentially Umbanda is an organization of empowerment, of self-sovereignty, of making lemonade out of lemons. And this is a result of my own personal path, where I was very lukewarm for the entirety of my life until September 24th of 2021, where I was confronted with the dweller upon the threshold. And I had to make my choice. Was I going to be hot or cold? Because if I had chosen the middle path of lukewarmness, of trying to just get by and satiate, live like an animal, but yet sometimes have some good momentum going as far as living for my higher self. But see, it was just kind of like not really polarizing and not really dedicating and not really focusing. And God had decided, well, your time is up. Make a choice. And that happened with the Kundalini activation. And it started with my heart chakra. So because of that, I have to understand that I am service to others. That is my polarity that I chose. And I try to do that through sharing knowledge, through sharing testimony, and doing it in a very strict sense of responsibility, being very careful to steer away from those easy, wide path things of organized religion and take the narrow path, the harder path. But it is destiny. I do believe that is a result of going through the heart, which was a gift from receiving the energies of the fourth ray, which took place on August 11th of 2021. And those energies of the heart began to fulminate, began to move, and it began to move in my life. And and it took me away from a very destructive path in life at that time, which was, I don't usually like to talk about it or to divulge too many details about that, but it was 6 years of living very dangerously. And yes, I'll just say it involved addiction. But it wasn't just an addiction to a particular, let's say, substance X. It was addictions of everything in life. Addictions to illusion primarily, which when the Kundalini energies were released, I do believe that was the beginning of the burning away of all illusion. And when those energies culminated in the crown, and the crown opened and connected to source, to cosmic consciousness, well, it was all made very clear to me. And so, and that was all in 2021. And, and to this day, the path continues. It is destiny, is the destiny and the law of Umbanda. And if you read the description to this channel, that's explained. The Om, the sound of creation, bond, this energy of creation that unites, that is the bond of all creation. And Amen, Amun-Ra. But fate is what happens to you. Destiny is what you make happen. So this is a very self-sovereign, proactive path. This energy that has transcended fate, which is the inertia of your unconscious, on your unpolarized, the inertia of your lukewarm existence. Living life as a repetition of patterns, of being imprisoned by your lower animal nature. Destiny, by contrast, is the flowering of the self, the Atman, through awareness, the alchemical marriage of ego and soul, guided by the deeper architect within. This is, in the language, Jungian language, or the language of psychology, individuation. And this is not a passive surrender to the pre-written script of the cosmos. It is participation in its authorship, co-creation. The universe becomes a mirror, and the initiate is a co-creator with infinite intelligence. Your co-authorship, co-scribe. And as St. Paul has written, the greatest of these is love. Love is the harmonizing current that integrates all polarities. On the emotional guidance scale, love occupies the highest octave, the state in which destiny becomes self-illuminating. Fear is the opposite current, contraction, forgetfulness, the static of the demiurgic loop. When the human field resonates in love, the divine thought particles circulate freely between the hemispheres of the brain and the dimensions of the soul. When it resonates in fear, thought collapses into recursion, the mechanical dream of fate. Now, I do want to make mention, because I've kind of referenced some terminology from the Law of One and all this, and I do want to say that it's confusing initially for a person who has awakened and who has stepped into their self-sovereignty, especially when you're extricating yourself from all of the manipulation and exploitation mechanisms that we deal with, and will continue to deal with. It's exciting times, folks, especially with the age of AI. And exploitation, illusion, it's getting freaky. But when you're connected to source, you're sovereign. And initially, I believe what trips a lot of people up is this whole service to self, service to others modality. This all begins with loving yourself, and focusing upon yourself, your path. And I'm telling you, trying to be worried about the collective in the sense of how it's being manipulated and exploited and weaponized, that's the path of perdition. That is the wide path. The narrow path is focusing upon yourself, loving yourself, being the best that you can be, expansion of consciousness, whatever that path is that you're feeling led to. Have the strength and the conviction to pursue it and guard it zealously, protect it passionately, as a lion. Roar. Your strength, your authenticity, your sovereignty. Yes, that is not a crime. It's not a crime to be good to yourself in that sense. Worry about yourself. This is very important, because when you start trying to please others and all that, you get more of the same. This is all through resonance. All of this will collect. All of those who are meant to collect in their path will do so. Say yes to life. This is the alchemy of affirmation. Om. the breath of affirmation that ignites the living word. Create new values. Bond, the act of linking divine imagination with the world. Bringing heaven to earth, your version of heaven. Love your fate. The sealing of experience into meaning. Transform pain into strength. The crucible of flame where louche becomes light. Reject life denial. Reject the sorrow of the black magic brotherhood. The remembrance that even in dissolution, spirit abides. Yes, and this doesn't have to be, I suffer from the language of duality, but love is the remedy, compassion is the remedy, and I shared that thought from Cygnus, the user, not as any kind of condemnation, but as merely, like I said, as a platform, as a vector, as a launch to discuss this concept. Through this sequence, despair is recycled into illumination. This black magic current of entropy, separation, is not to be feared, but integrated. A shadow catalyst for the awakening of the solar heart. And so, yes, many people who are perhaps awakening, they get caught up in the whole dualism, and they, evil, good and evil, and they fear things that they don't understand. Images of satanic, whatnot, imagery, and all of this occult. If you don't understand it, if you have not investigated it, you will be imprisoned by it. It'll be your weak point. But Atlantis, these celestial civilizations, these extraterrestrial civilizations that were at one time established here on this planet, these are the symbols of spiritual dynamics. Atlantis in particular, the Black Brotherhood dominated. The sons of Belial created a spiritual hubris, pride, collapsing under their own density, and failed. Yet from each submersion, a remnant arises. Those who have chosen destiny over fate, love over fear. They are the seed of the new earth, the builders of the crystal cathedrals, the keepers of remembrance. And so I rambled on a little bit, but it is your path, it is your walk. It is an exciting time to be alive and to be conscious. I do believe those of us who are here, whether you call yourself a starseed or whatever, or a normie or whatever, the time, the opportunities, the potential for advancement are tremendous. They are exponentially available and profound in their implications. Namaste, namaskaram.